Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is that you are viewing this. If you are inside our Fit Beyond 40 for Women closed Facebook group, or if you are listening to the Get Crystallized Show podcast, I'm really excited because for those of you that are listening on the podcast, I have my special co-host with me, Coach Janae, who is not just an amazing coach inside our Fit Beyond 40 weight loss transformation programs, but she is an integral member on the R3 team, has been competing with the R3 team for the past 3 years, right? Yeah. Is this your fourth year competing?
This is the third, because the first year was 2020, was the pandemic year.
There you go. Yeah. Crazy. That's insane. So I have introduced this series called Competing Beyond 40. Now, I spoke to Coach Janae because we are literally, how many weeks out are we, 11?
12? Like we're like a couple of days away from 11.
Okay. Okay, so we're like 11 weeks plus a couple of days out. We're both competing. We're both competing on November 11th, I believe, is the day of the show. And so as fitness competitors, as women over 40, Coach Janae being 45 years young, and 45 is around the corner for me as well, we wanted to share today the 3 secrets to achieving a bikini body after 40. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Coach Crystal, Coach Janae, I have no desire to step onto a stage, and that's totally fine. But what I was thinking in brainstorming with Coach Janae, I think there is value in sharing our journey. So we are literally 12 weeks out from the show. So we thought, let's vlog our journey, and what we want to do every week leading up to the show is we want to share all things that revolve around competing. And although it's at an advanced level, there are some things that you can apply for whether you just want to live a healthy lifestyle and you just want to get into a bikini, period, to wear on a beach. Some of these that we're going to share with you and practices that we, do to get on that stage, you can take on and apply them to yourself. For example, today we're going to share 3 secrets to get into a bikini after 40, and ... has nothing to do with working out. What? Yeah, exactly. Crazy. So I hope you're excited. I would love for you guys in the comment box below, those of you that are live or watching the replay, type in the comment box, me, if you are interested in following our journey, if you are interested and you have questions, because every week we're going to have a topic. So we may talk about mindset, we may talk about fitness, we may talk about nutrition, we may just talk about how we're doing and where we're at in the journey. So we really want to share our experience. And then on the day of the show, we will vlog it. We will go live, and we'll do bit by bit, and we'll vlog right into the Fit Beyond 40 for Women Facebook group. I'm competing in the morning, so I'll have Coach Janae film me when I'm on stage. Lord willing, I'll get on the stage with her that evening. Regardless, we'll have one of our coaches film the evening show as well. So you can just be along this journey with us. So with that said, I think we should just jump right into secret number 1. And I think it'll also give us the opportunity, Coach Janae, to share why we compete. Because secret number 1 to achieving that bikini body after 40 is why? Like, why do you want to do that? Why does it matter to you to feel confident in a bikini? And I start off with this because whether it's a lifestyle goal that you have, a weight loss goal that you have, or to step on stage, you have to have a deep enough why. Because even if you're just trying to, lose weight, like Coach Janae and I know, there are so many things that can throw our clients off their game. It could be deadlines from work. It could be kids getting sick. It could be taking care of your elderly parents. It could be like high levels of stress, kids' activities. And that in itself we have witnessed our clients completely fallen off their healthy lifestyle. And that includes meal prepping. That includes their self-care practice. That includes sleeping well. That includes skipping their workouts. And so I wanted to share, firstly, why do we compete? And for those of you that don't know, and I'll plug into the copy, the very first episode where we shared, but I think it would be of value for Coach Janae and I to share where we came from and why we compete. And so I'll start off by sharing that it was a goal of mine. It was literally on my bucket list to compete and celebrate turning 40. To a little bit of a backstory, when I turned 30, I know this sounds crazy pants, but this is the truth. When I turned 30, Coach Nelson, my amazing husband, he decided to throw me a surprise birthday party. And I specifically told him, I am dreading turning 30. I was terrified of turning 30. Do not celebrate it. I just want to have, this is the truth. I just want to have a good steak dinner. That's all I wanted. Go home, get into my jammies, and go to sleep. That's all I wanted. And my loving husband decided to throw me a big surprise party. And I was miserable the whole night. My birthday is in December. And that particular year when I turned 40, there was a snowstorm and I was not in the mood to celebrate. I remembered like dancing like this with a drink in my hand. Because I did not. I don't want to use the word depressed lightly, but I honestly felt depressed turning 30. I thought I'm old. That was my mentality back then. And after that moment, and as I, came to realize, you know what, 30 is not that bad. In fact, like if I look at my health, I'm actually more healthier now than in my 20s. Yeah. And as the years went by and being, a health professional and a regular gym goer, I realized that age is nothing but a number. And that's where I thought, you know what, I'm going to celebrate my 40th. I'm not going to, run and hide. I'm not going to be depressed about the fact that a decade has passed. I am going to celebrate my 40th birthday by stepping on to the fitness competition stage. And that is why I decided to compete. It was to prove to myself that age is nothing but a number. And when I stepped onto that stage, now this is actually last year, but you can kind of see where I was and, what I achieved to get to that bikini body ready. And my why was so deep because for me personally, I wanted to prove it to myself. I wanted to prove to myself that what would happen if I took one full year of being 100% compliant? What would happen if I gave my everything to a program? Because let's be honest, girls, like put in the chat box, that's me. If you've started a program with enthusiasm and 2 weeks later, it's like too hard, life happens and you quit. And I thought, what if I just stayed focused and stayed the course? And my first year of competing, it was like a present, especially the last 12 weeks, which is where Coach Janae and I are right now. Week by week, it was like a present. Ooh, look at that cut. Ooh, look, I got another ab. Ooh, like my legs are toning up. And it was like little presents every single week. And so that became a passion of mine. When I stepped on that stage, I thought every single woman needs to experience this. And then it became a passion project of mine. That's what it is. And in 2020, Coach Janae, Coach Lean, and Denise were my first 3 competitors on the R3 team. And I have to say, watching these women step on stage was even more fulfilling than me stepping on that stage. And I loved it. I loved the process. I loved watching them go from where they were to that breakout moment when they were on the stage. I was like the proud stage mama, and that was during COVID. I lost my voice in the hotel room watching Coach Janae. Like, I lost my voice screaming at the laptop. Okay.
Yeah.
And every year since, it brings me such joy to see my women over 40 compete. And for me personally, why do I continue to compete? Because I am competing with myself to this day. I could care less with whoever's beside me. I just want to beat the package that I brought the previous year, because I want to continue to inspire the ladies on my team. I want to continue to inspire my coaches. I want to continue to inspire our tribe who are in our FB40 programs, that when you not just trust the process, but actually trust yourself to complete the process, anything is possible. And that's why I personally compete. And that's why my why is that deep. So, Coach Janae, I would love for you to share your why. Why do you compete? Why does getting on a teeny weeny bikini on a stage with a panel of judges and an audience watching you, like, why do you do it?
Mm-hmm. I think it's more about, so there's kind of two whys for me, right? So I break it down into, I love the process. And just like you said, like every week, seeing something different, seeing your body change, that's even more motivation, right? To keep going. I love that feeling though, that feeling of being so into it and following this process and following a routine. That is like that is the type of personality that I am. I love like that structure and that routine. That is when I do my best. So that part of the process, I am fully in love with, and I love being in that moment and knowing that feeling. So those are like those 12 weeks. I love that part of it. I love experiencing that and pushing yourself and getting the best out of yourself. But then there's the day of, when you can really see your results. And I always keep that moment in mind in terms of my why, because that is like the big reveal of all the hard work. I love seeing, how much work I've done on my booty or my shoulders, the leg development, all of that stuff, right? So seeing that big reveal and knowing that feeling and having that end work kind of show off, that is definitely a big component, because I want to experience that moment again and again, right? It's very contagious. But digging a little bit deeper, and we've talked about this, many different times, your why kind of evolves and kind of structures, right? So, or changes in its structure. Overall, my why remains the same. I love competing. I love the experience. I love the process, that moment of walking on stage. Like, you just feel such a huge sense of accomplishment. You can't get it anywhere else. Like that is the one place to really feel like I set my mind to something and I followed through and I achieved it. And this is me walking on the stage and nothing else matters. Right. And that feeling, honestly, for me personally, I can't get it anywhere else but that moment on that stage on that day. But what I find is that my why really does kind of change and evolve. And just like you, it was like that goal of, to celebrate your 40th. That may not, that's not your goal today, right? Like it's slightly changed. And the same thing for me, like the first year was like, I've always wanted to do this ever since my 20s. I gave up on it. And now I want to see it through. And I don't want to be that person that gives up anymore. And I don't want to be that person that just like, it's too hard. It's okay. It doesn't really matter. I wouldn't have done it anyway. No, I want to see it through and see what happens. That was my first why. And now it's kind of like, can I maintain that? Can I continue to build on that? And can I continue to be a better version of myself than the last time on stage? And I don't want to, now it's more about like, I don't want to be a one-hit wonder. I don't want to be like, oh, well, it was a fluke. It was first year success kind of thing. And I really want to be in line with all the pros, right? I want to be a pro level athlete. That is my why, and the reason that keeps me going, right? When it gets tough, and sticking to it, and this whole 12-week process, and even well before that, putting on extra plates on the machine, like all of that stuff, like really digging deep and pushing through. This is what a pro level athlete will do. This is my why, because this is my next level now, right? So that's how my why has kind of like evolved from like, hey, I just want to do it because I said I'd do it once upon a time in my 20s, to now like I want to like hold my own, standing up against all the other pros that have been doing it for decades, and know that I am a pro. I belong there, right?
Yes. Similarly, I can relate to that, where, at the pro level, we compete with women our age. So there is what they call masters. So currently I'm competing masters 35 and plus, because I'm not quite 45. So Coach Janae can compete 45 plus. However, as a pro athlete myself, I also then can compete in open, which means I'm competing with women half my age. And so for me personally, beating that 20-year-old standing beside me is a goal, my own. Yes. To say, hey, I am twice your age and a half. Like, girl, like you've got youth on your side. This is hard work. Yes. This is hard work. And that's kind of, my own kind of personal goal that I have, is to show that 20-year-old standing beside me, yes, like a woman who is twice your age can look amazing, right? Yes. So I totally relate with that. And so all of that to say, even if you yourself are not, there's no desire to compete, but your desire is to get into a bikini, it still takes that mindset of, okay, am I training with intensity? Is this deep enough? Like, what would change if I am so confident in myself that I could wear a bikini in public? How would that translate in your relationships, in your love life, in how the energy you have with your kids, the confidence that you bring to work? It really seeps into all aspects of your life.
It does.
When you have that level of confidence. And so, so that is why the first secret to getting into a bikini or achieving that bikini body over 40 is why. Why is having that level of confidence important to you, and how would it change your life? So that's the secret number one. Now, secret number two is this is a tool. I just want to, put it out there that this is a tool. It is for myself and my ladies on the R3 team. This is a tool, okay, which is called If It Fits Your Macros. So this particular tool is all about nutrition. And the reason why working out is not a part of our secrets, because number one, it's not a secret. Like, you probably figured, okay, yeah, I have to work out in order to get a bikini body, of course. But the reason why is because you cannot out-train a bad diet. And to get onto that stage, or to get and achieve that bikini body, requires nutrition to be on point. And so, because we're women over 40, and I'm very proud to say, I recently received I did a course certificate, and I'm officially a certified menopause coaching specialist. And the reason why I did that is because as women in our 40s, we are heading towards that menopause transition, which means our hormones are going to start being imbalanced and all over the place as we move into premenopause and menopause, and it's inevitable. Yeah. Now, you put on that layer of hardcore dieting, your hormones are not just angry, they're hangry. You've got hangry hormones. And we know so many of our own clients, they come to us literally starving themselves, eating like 900 calories, less than 1,200 calories. They're doing hours on end of cardio and wondering why they're gaining weight or why the scale isn't budging. And so, as fitness competitors, one of the practices and tools that we use is if it fits your macros, because one, what it does is it gives us some structure. It is very personalized to our body type, our fitness level, and what it is that we want to achieve to step onto that stage. Now, can you do this as just a lifestyle practice? Absolutely. You absolutely can. Now, the change might not happen as quickly as ours does, which is on a weekly basis. You might be able to stick to the same macros for a month and then slowly every 4 to 6 weeks gradually change. But the beautiful thing about if it fits your macros is if you want that piece of chocolate, dark chocolate, plug that in first, which is primarily a fat, and then work your other macros around it. So it gives us a little bit of flexibility, which is why I love if it fits your macros, right? And so, I'd love for you to speak on, Coach Janae. Some of our listeners might be at that point where they're like, what is a macro? So why don't we start with that? What are macros?
So macros it's macronutrient, right? So it's short for macronutrients. Our food are comprised of macronutrients and micronutrients. And just like the term implies, macro is like the larger components. So they break into carbs, fats, and protein. So your food is basically comprised of one, if not a combination of those three macronutrients. Of course, all of the other micronutrients, like all your vitamins, minerals, and etc., do count as well, but they're not as tracked, like in the same way, right? So your macronutrients, your carbs, fats, and protein are really in when you're following if it fits your macros, are tailored for you so you can track. What I personally love is it kind of adheres to all the different types of dietary needs, restrictions. I'm vegan and I can just get my macros and I can build my plan personally around what I like. Oddly enough, as a vegan, I have 5 favorite vegetables are my go-tos. I very rarely ever go outside of those 5, but I mean, that way it works for me. I'm not trying weird things or different things. I can structure it the way that I enjoy. I love, peanut butter and almond butter. So just like Coach Crystal says, if it fits your macros, if I know that I want to have a bagel and peanut butter today, I can plug that in and work the balance of my macros around that to make sure I'm still adhering and getting enough protein. I'm finding all the other right carbs. I'm never in a restricted oh no, I can't have popcorn. I might have to have it in moderation. I might have to adjust my day. And really, at 12 weeks out, I probably wouldn't kind of veer into all of those it becomes very tricky when you start kind of scaling down. But then this is, again, why it's so helpful to have a plan like that so that you can adjust and you can make those decisions if you need to, right? If you're eating out, if you are kind of caught off guard and you need to, grab a snack or something, it's very easy to manipulate your macros and make it work. And it's very important at this stage as well to make sure that you are still getting enough of the right macronutrients to not mess up your hormones. Yes. Right? Because messing it up is almost like you're undoing all the hard work by following the macros in the first place, right? And you're not, your body won't be using the macros, your calories, your energy source in the same way that it should be using. And this is why we make slow changes over a longer period of time versus something super drastic, which will, yes, it will get fast results, but you'll also mess up your hormones, meaning it will be harder and probably a lot more frustrating coming out of that diet. The weight will come back on really fast and it'll be very hard to take that weight off.
100%. And that's the thing. For our women out there who want to achieve that bikini body, okay, you get there, but now how do we stay there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like maintenance is actually the hardest. And as fitness competitors, like I will be, honest with you, that stage weight is not sustainable or maintainable. We're like, but there's a purpose in it. And then from there, and we'll talk about this in one of our sessions, is we want to reverse diet out of it so that we get to a good maintenance level calories that's not going to cause hangry hormones. So one of our next episodes, we'll speak specifically just on if it fits your macros. We'll talk about specific guidelines that we teach within our Fit Beyond 40 weight loss transformation program. But high level overview, that is the second secret to getting bikini body ready, is practicing and utilizing the tool of if it fits your macros, so you don't feel deprived, so that you can eat all the things, but there's just structure and kind of boundaries. And it really teaches you about portion control, because it's really, especially when you're eating something that's very palatable, it's easy to overeat it. Yes. Right? And so this teaches you the skill of satisfying that craving, but being okay and satisfied with that portion. And but we'll go deeper, of course, on another episode all about if it fits your macros. Now, the last secret to achieving your bikini body is sleep. Oh my goodness, I love my sleep. And when you're trying to achieve a bikini body, and that what I hear when someone wants to get a bikini body, most of the time it's to lose body fat and to gain muscle. Okay. Which is totally possible in doing. That all has to do with body composition. That's another conversation. But muscle is very expensive. And you do not put on muscle under the bar or when you're pushing or pulling weights. Your muscle develops when you're sleeping. Your muscle develops when you are resting. So resting and recovering, and that's kind of like another bonus secret, is you have to respect your rest days, right? Because it's so easy to overtrain as well. And that doesn't do anything. When you're under the bar, when you're doing resistance training, you're tearing that muscle. And in order for it to grow, it will grow when you rest. That's how you build muscle. And that's why it's so important to get, the 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And we'll have one episode just talking about sleep. I know for all my women who are premenopausal, going through menopause, you may suffer from hot flushes. You may, have a hard time falling asleep. You may have a hard time staying asleep. So we'll have a whole episode just on that, because I think it's really important. But all of that to say, especially when you're competing, I always say to my girls, like, we need to reduce the amount of stress as possible, because we are under a lot of stress. We're putting our body under a lot of stress, pushing hard, with our workouts and going into a deficit, more of it. That's a lot of stress. Yeah. We don't want added stress and have really crappy training sessions when we don't have good sleep. Yeah. And because it really affects your workouts when you don't have a good sleep. So, what would you say about sleep, the importance of sleep, and how does it affect you, to achieve that bikini body?
So sleep is so underrated. You really need to embrace and enjoy your sleep and make it part of I get excited to go to sleep, right? I'm like, yay. Yeah. So, and there's lots of different things. Like you said, we'll go into more details about sleep, because there's lots of different tools and techniques that you can utilize to help you get a really good, restful night's sleep. But like for me personally, I like to consider your hormones when you're involved with getting enough sleep, right? You're not getting enough sleep will actually muck up all your hormones and everything else that's happening. And we're already challenged with that. We're already dealing with that. And if you start, dieting and everything else, and like you said, with stress, now you've got all of those other things playing with your hormones. Like, why add to it? This is something that you can control, that you can actually help eliminate, bring down. And funny enough, I brought with me so I could show you one of my tools to get a really good night's sleep. And believe me, I was not a person that really did this, but now I am. It's a sleep mask.
Wow. Bonus, girls.
Right. And so because one of the big, I noticed that I could go to sleep. I was getting probably I would consider enough sleep, 7 to 8 hours. And I felt okay when I woke up, but when I started sleeping with a night mask, because I put a fan in my room and it has a digital number, and I like sleeping with the fan on, but I couldn't get this digital number to stop flashing at me. And it was so bright. And I have a mirror close by, so it was also reflecting the light. So I felt like I had like the moonlight, like the moon directly in my room. And so I started wearing the night mask just to shut out. It obviously shuts out all the light, and what an improvement. I didn't realize that like my quality of sleep could actually improve until I actually improved it. Like, you have no idea the good night's sleep that's waiting for you until you actually get it. Like, you might think like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm getting good sleep. Like, I'm okay. But then watch, you're going to do a few different things. And number one is like a little sleep mask. And like 100% world of difference. I feel so much better when I wake up. It's easier to get up, feel well rested. My energy levels stay good all throughout the day. I can have a really good training session, whether it's first thing in the morning or it's after work, right? When your energy is already depleted and you don't feel like it, but you got to do it. I can maintain that energy level, right? So definitely underrated. Start with first just getting enough sleep, and then work on the quality of that sleep as well.
I love it. It's funny because I'm staring at my fan that's in front of my bed right now, and that same light, I literally have my baseball hat on it.
Yeah.
Like a black baseball hat literally on top to cover that light. And we invested in what are these called? They're
the shutout curtains.
Yes, yeah, those blackout curtains.
Yeah.
Because specifically for that reason. But we have a ton of more tips and tools to how to get that sleep, how to stay asleep, how to not wake up when you sleep, how to deal with hot flushes. We'll have a whole other episode just on that. So let's just quickly recap. Number one secret is have a deep enough why, because life is going to happen that's going to tear you away from your goal. If your why is deep enough, you're going to stay the course. Number two is, if it fits your macros, really focusing on being compliant with your nutrition, because you cannot out-train a bad diet. And the last one, like Coach Janae just wrapped up, is really good sleep. It really affects your energy levels the next day. It calms your hunger hormones. There's a slew of science that we'll share with you another time as to why those who don't get a good enough sleep and are still on a deficit and are still working out, what happens to them when they don't get a good enough sleep. And you'll be surprised at that statistic. So I think we should start off next week, Coach Janae, if you agree with me, because it is the most important factor is the mindset. And I want to share, tools on how to become self-disciplined, because we hear so many of our ladies say consistency is the problem. And if you want to achieve that bikini body or step onto that stage, consistency is that's like a no-brainer. Yeah. One of my mentors said, hard work is the entry form. Self-discipline is what gets you there. So, I'd love for us, I think the first thing, like we always say, the foundation is the mindset. So I think that's what we need to, I'd love to have an episode just on that, all about the mindset. How do you develop self-discipline? How do you develop that willpower? And how do you stop self-sabotaging excuses? And how do you master consistency? I think that will be a really, really good episode. So you got to come back next week. You gotta come back next week. This is going to be a 12-week series. This is going to take us right to our show. We're going to take you along with us, backstage and all. And we'll talk too about the cost to compete. How do you choose your bikini, the color of your bikini, makeup, hair, like all the things, tanning. We'll talk about all of the things that involves with competing, but also these valuable tools like how do I get good sleep, the nutrition component, the mindset component. We'll talk about it all. So make sure you join us. This is 12 weeks to Elite and the Worlds. This is a new series that we are going to be doing every week. So make sure you join us. and we'll be back on the regular scheduled time. I think Thursdays at 8 p.m. is most women are able, unless this time for all of you that are watching, you like this time, Friday at 10:15, let us know. Either way, we want to make sure that you get the most out of this series, that you learn a ton and are able to apply to your own life. So Coach Janae, I'm excited. We're 12 weeks out. Woo, woo, woo. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this. So I'm really, really excited to bring all of you along. Thank you, Coach Janae.
You're welcome.
I love our time together. You as a co-host, and just sharing your wisdom and your experience is so valuable. And so I hope you guys are excited to come along with us to our journey to the UFB Elite and World Stage.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Until next week, guys. Have an amazing, amazing week. Thank you so much, Coach Janae. Love you so much. And we'll see you guys next time on the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.